down to like correlation doesn't equal causation.
No, yeah, no, the cause and effect probably isn't there with the first tower. But again, it's an interesting thing to note that maybe if you're looking for early tower pushes, early aggressive lane swap tower pushes, you're coming out ahead.
If you want free wins, guys, just take the first tower. It's
yeah,
that simple. But we are going to see our second 2 picks locked in. Jin's going to be locking in that Lucian, and we're going to see the Lulu as well. So Jokerism, it's relatively safe to say that he'll be on the Lucian. Honestly, Lulu could be mid, could be top, potentially could be support, very unlikely though.
Yeah, we saw Afremi pull it out once in the LCS, but we haven't seen it since. I just had an update from my stats guy. It is the case this week that every team that took the first tower has won the game.
There have been 7 first towers in the Premiership so far, and there have been 7 games won due to it. Shout out to FridgeCake, by the way, who is our
stats guy. He's incredible with those stats. I'm super happy he brings them to the table. So we'll have to see if it carries on in this game, because if it is 8 out of 8 games, so first tower equals win, then you'll never know.
Who knows? Illuminati on the case right here, but we are going to see Fury unlock in the Gregus for the jungle, and we're going to see Alistar for the first time tonight, I believe, as well. Alistar going to be locked in. We saw one ban earlier, but first time it's actually going to be picked. That's going to go over to Hado. Now, Hado has a long history of playing very, very well on Alistar. This is a champion that he is very comfortable on. Definitely not a stranger to this toolkit.
Oh no, I mean, Hado has had a fantastic performance across multiple years with this champion, and I expect him to continue that. Do you know the guy that I really want to make sure we look out for is XD Smiley? I imagine he'll likely pick the Kalista here. It synergizes well with the Alistar. He is an incredible Kalista player as well. So, yeah, I am thinking that's going to be the pick here for the Mana Light lineup, and it makes a lot of sense that that would be what they aim for. There hasn't been a mid lane, or hasn't been a solid mid lane pickup here, so it's actually going to force Larssen to either make the first choice. We have seen him on Gangplank, so it could even potentially be Larssen playing Gangplank.
It definitely could. I mean, Gangplank is one of those champions that, while it is absolutely terrifying in the top lane, it can easily be played mid, and you still have that super late game scaling. You still have the crazy damage if you can get the barrels off, but also just like
I think a Victor
general global pressure from the ultimate. Victor definitely could be an option here. I just want to touch on this Morgana pick while that's been locked in. I would think likely support. Do you think there's any chance of that going to the mid lane?
But we have seen it go to the mid lane. But I imagine it does pretty well. Ah, Victor, there we go. It gets locked in.
Called it, boys.
I think a Victor would be, again, a good addition to this composition. The Morgana generally is picked into Alistar because you can Black Shield the combo. And it's Twisted Fate, yes, so it's likely going to be Morgana's support. Yeah, I think you Black Shield the combo, you keep your AD carry pretty safe. It does well against the Victor, can shield him against a lot of the magic burst that comes through. So I think also it's one of Wiz's best champions. You know, we've seen him perform on Morgana, and he hits ridiculous bindings with that champion, by the way. Such a great binding player when it comes to Morgana. So definitely for Wiz, one of his best champions, does very well against the Alistar, and will provide a little bit of safety net for the Lucian. And like we said, it is the Kalista for Smiley.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just look at the kind of terrifying mid-game that will come out here for the side of Mana Light. I mean, Kalista and Victor both, once you get an item or two onto Victor, you really start to... I mean, we saw earlier today how powerful Victor was. I mean, I believe it was Exertus when Impaler tried to get that tower dive. Impaler just got blown up immediately, and that was like a level 6, level 7. So that definitely is a pick that towards the mid-game will just get terrifying, but look at this. The bind combo coming out here, the light bind followed by the dark bind, or vice versa. Looks Morgana. You do not want to be out of position at any point in this game if you're on the lineup from Mana Light.
They're looking to pick here. They're looking to pick someone off and blow them up with Energy's Lux, because they've got good siege and good pick. So they look to siege with Lux, they look to pick with Lux. They don't really have the most brilliant teamfight composition in the world unless Lux can land an absolutely ridiculous combo, you know, laser across multiple people. And again, they haven't really got the best split push composition either, coming from Lulu and Gangplank. Lulu's only really going to be able to wave clear versus the Gangplank. She will eventually never be able to split push versus him. So they've got good siege, good pick. They'll look to exploit vision control in the enemy jungle and then pick people off and make a pick, then, you know, siege a tower. That's likely where they're going with this. You know, 2-3 second bindings, pick someone off, blow them up, run to a tower, you have the advantage in terms of numbers, and you have the Lux for the siege.
But the issue there is what happens if you start to fall behind. If Manolite manage to take that early lead and control vision correctly, it's so hard to get a pick composition to work if they know where you are and you don't know where they are. Like,
Yeah, and
how do you make that pick happen at
and
that
with
point?
the amount that Furion is so good at controlling
Yeah.
vision, it's going to be slightly harder. But the difference is that especially when you're ahead as a pick composition, Furion's going to have to be keeping vision control of his own jungle more than the enemy jungle. Generally, you tend to see picks happen in your own jungle or around the river area. Notably, Lux likes to pick people off around those river brush side areas. You know, she's in the brush, you walk past, she has vision of you, she just binds you and blows you up. So again, vision control is going to have to be on point for Manolite going into this game. But Manolite have got a fantastic teamfight composition. They've got Alistair combo into full combo from Victor. All that CC just allows Smiley to just do what he does on this Kalista. And even the Rift, and the thing about Gangplank, he has multiple uses. He's not just like Fiora where he has to split push. He can split push or he can come into the team. His Cannon Barrage is absolutely ridiculous teamfight tool, and you know what barrels do. Barrels do what barrel do. They just blow people up.
Is that a term?
That's not a term.
Phrase?
That's not a term. I just made that term up.
Barrels do as barrels do, and we'll see if that's going to mean that Manolite can barrel into the lead in this game. But Choke, the Sharks, they're swimming, they're looking for prey, and they can smell blood by the looks of things. And they've even got the Land Shark of Rek'Sai on their team as well. So we'll see whether they're going to be able to turn this into anything. I really like the kind of Lucian pickup here. In with the double binding, the second someone gets caught by the binding, it is just going to be like they're just going to be eliminated. Even if it's a tank, it's still going to be like a significant chunk of damage. And I think the key thing to remember when it comes to this kind of pick composition from Choke is the bindings don't have long cooldowns. This isn't like a one-time use all your ultimates kind of thing. This is like we can do this every 10 seconds.
The key thing here is, though, there are 3 members from Manolite that can get out of those bindings. Alistair uses his ultimate.
Yep.
Gangplank eats some oranges. And then there's the cleanse on the Victor.
And as well, you've got Fate's Call coming out from
Yes,
Kalista.
Fate's Call from Kalista. There's a double.
So Haddo is just like invincible.
He is
to
invincible.
this strategy.
He's invincible right now. So you have to burn that cleanse from Victor. And I think really the target you are looking for is Victor. Because Kalista, if she's got quick reactions, can sort of juke around those bindings very quickly.
But at the same time, you can use that jump from Kalista to predict a binding, and she'll get locked into that leap, and then you're like, I've been there as Kalista, and it's like everything goes into slow motion. You're like, no, and then the binding hits you, and then you die.
Yeah, that does happen. You are very right there. But you know, they have to be very selective with their targets, and I think if you pick off the Victor, you kind of win because then you eliminate all of the wave clear that they have. You can siege a turret very effectively. Kind of, I imagine that's what Choke is going to be looking for in this game, and Larson is going to be having a huge target painted over his head, saying, "Kill me, and you probably win the game." So, yeah, I know.
I don't feel like that's a great target to paint above your head, to be honest. Like,
no, but it's like a metaphorical target here.
Okay. Well, I did assume that, but we are going to be just really quickly restarting the lobby here. Just, looks like I think there might have been an accidental...
Legion Lux?
Yeah, or maybe a...
Ghost Bride. Oh, the famed UK Ghost Bride Morgana.
Ghost Bride Morgana debate comes into play. I don't even know which skin it was, so we're just not even going to open that can of worms. We're going to leave that one alone. But a banned skin was brought into play. We've got rid of it, and now we're going to restart the lobby. So we'll be back into the game as fast as possible, and there will be no banned skins whatsoever. So those skill shots will look exactly how they're meant to, and will hit targets that they look like they're hitting.
Yeah,
so that's good.
So, yeah, Legion Lux. Anyone doesn't know that essentially the Riot banned skin list is not necessarily because it provides any kind of advantage, although Legion Lux could be noted that it does because it's very difficult to see the light binding. In general, it's because they say it's confusing for the spectators to recognize abilities that are very different colors or different animations to
the actual reason?
Yeah, very different colors or different animations to their original or intended animations and colors.
I always thought it was just down to a matter of like the hitboxes being completely off on most of the band
No,
skins.
there are some skins like that, like
Steel Legion looks.
Oktoberfest Gragas is a smaller champion model than other Gragas models. It's all a bit, but the official reason I believe is that it's confusing for spectators when animations or abilities are very different.
Well, you can see that with like Blitzcrank.
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
That.
For instance, yeah,
Blitzcrank
Blitzcrank is confusing to see the Blitzcrank hook because you can't see the arm. Basically, you can only see the hand.
And also the hook, like it's about a meter squared around where the fist is or something. It feels like, at least. But anyway, enough about band skins. Let's get back onto our compositions here, because we've got them re-locked in, and we've even got two teams here that are courteous enough to reban the same champions. We usually just see kind of Aatrox, Arya, Mumu band out when we see a remake, but we are going to see.
Or people trying to make very clever three-letter words, which
TSM
generally tends to be the case.
Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, we've already kind of picked apart these compositions somewhat. Let's start to look into our lane matchups here. And I mean, do you think we're going to see lane matchups? Do you think a lane swap could be something that comes into play in this game?
Maybe Mana Light will look to put a lane swap down, but it does kind of starve Rifty from a bit of farm. And also Lulu can wave clear. And again, the interesting thing is
Lulu's pretty comfortable in
I always talk about these lane swaps, but you never see the 2 versus 1s happen anymore. Because what you just see is the top laner run around with a jungler, go into a 4-man or 3-man push onto the turret. So you just don't see 2 versus 1 matchups anymore. So it's almost useless to talk about what a champion is like in a 2v1. But what is important to note is that starving Gangplank of farm is not good. So...
Well, it is if you're the ones starving.
Yeah, exactly, if you're the ones that are trying to do it. So either you're going to see Choke looking to lane swap to try and starve Gangplank of farm, force him to farm the early game with his jungler, or you're going to look to see a 2 versus 1 from Mana Light because they don't want to put Kalista, Alistair into a Lucian Morgana matchup.
Yeah.
What I am kind of excited to see is potentially both of them look for the lane swap, but then they end up just reversing the map and having a 2 versus 2 in the top lane and the 1 versus 1 in the bot lane. Could happen. But yeah, I think, you know, Gangplank is all going to be about wave management if this does happen, because if you can bounce the waves so that Gangplank manages to have a wave pushing towards him that he can attempt to freeze, then he is going to have time to get solo experience and farm. And wave management, when you do lane swaps, is incredibly important. You ideally want to bounce the waves so that once you take the turret, the wave will push back towards your top laner, who will then have rotated back towards that lane. He's devoid of a turret, but the wave is coming towards... Oh, sorry, no, he's not devoid of a turret, but the wave is coming towards his turret so that he's able to just farm solo and sort of catch up on experience and gold ASAP. Some teams do it well, some teams don't. Mana Light, I know, are very good at bouncing the wave.
I think as well a key thing there is if the enemy bounces the wave correctly and you don't, you can really
you can screw your game up.
Exactly, yeah. You can pretty much lose the game off the back of that because you just end up with a laner that is super behind versus every laner that's played as if it was a normal lane phase, essentially.
But not also that, not just that. You have 2 waves that end up pushing towards your opponent. So you have your AD carry and support from the enemy team in a good position because the wave's coming towards them. And you have the enemy top laner getting a wave going towards them. So it's so important to make sure that waves are managed correctly when you do a lane swap. But it's probably the most technical part of a lane swap that happens now. Because the rest of it isn't that technical. You just push the wave, and you stack and then push the wave, take the turret, then bounce it properly. That's essentially what you see when you have a lane swap these days. And again, that's something that becomes, I guess, second nature to teams that practice this so often. There is a very strict strategy to doing it. And if you practice it enough, you'll always be able to make it effective.
You absolutely will, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to make that happen in this one. But if you've only just joined us, we've been in Champsite for quite some time, so let's just reiterate that this is Choke Gaming up against Mana Light. Now, Choke Gaming, they managed to win their first game of the season, but they're up against a relatively unknown force. Mana Light looked fantastic in our promotional tournament, but so far have been untested. They got a default win in the first week of the Premiership, so now this is going to be kind of their first real game within the Premiership, and we're going to see whether they can bring their promotions performance into the actual major season. But enough about the teams. Let's head onto the map and get this game underway. It's going to be Choke Gaming, sorry, or not even Choke Gaming anymore, just Choke. It's going to be Choke up against Mana Light.
Yeah, and Again, defensive spread here. Neither team giving away whether the lane stop is what they are looking for. You don't often tend to see it very early on, but it does look like very standard starts and defensive moves from both of these teams. And maybe then you'll see them head back and look for the lane swap as they know that there isn't an invade happening. You very rarely see invades at this level of play as well, because teams are so quick to be defensive with their, I guess, champion spread.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is kind of become... it's been standard for a long time, but this is basically what I expect to see at every level 1. It doesn't even feel, most of the time, it doesn't feel worth talking about level 1.
Yeah, just because it's so often just this case. Yeah. You're very right. You know, we saw 2 kind of interesting moves from teams today at level 1, where they stacked up and went top, and then stacked up and went bot, but nothing came of it. You know, there wasn't a follow-up because the presence of teams was just so good. But we're going to actually just see classic matchups here from Choke and Headbutt Polv coming straight after the CC of the body slam. I've got to be honest, Dandy Chap could have probably flashed that first body slam if he thought he was in danger. I don't think he fully expected that combo to come down, and unfortunately caught a little bit off guard by the damage that came through there. But this is kind of how much damage that Gragas can do in the early portions of the game now. He is a very, very formidable jungler in a 1v1, and if Rek'Sai does get caught out like that, she's not exactly a huge damage threat until she's picked up that Warriors.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we'll see whether that one is going to come into play. We do also see some kind of Cinder Hulk Rek'Sais as well. That's kind of the thing about Rek'Sai, is there are lots of different ways that can be played. But Ice Cold with no summoners could be in a little bit of trouble here, because Furion is looking for the gank. Can't quite land the knock-up though. Slow is going to be available. Larson trying to do the damage, but everything's on cooldown. Laser comes! Oh, the shield at the very last second. There's a binding actually. Dandy is going for this one, but decides to back away. Energy way too low HP to commit to anything more.
Oh, that was really close there.
Yeah.
The return shield, as you know, obviously Lux shield.
That was like as close as it gets.
Yeah, as close as it gets, because that singular auto attack would have killed him had that shield not procced on the return. Lux shield has this interesting mechanic where you throw it out, it provides you with an initial
barrier, I think.
Yeah. You throw it out and it provides you with an initial shield, and then it comes back towards you, and you can either double up that shield or provide you with another shield, and that second shield there stopped the final auto attack from Larson from picking up the kill. But that is the problem with Lux once you burn her flash very early on. She's a very low mobility mid laner, and if she doesn't land her binding, there's nothing to stop her getting picked off early on. And Rifty...
Oh, Dandy is there, does manage to get the slow on the knock-up, and that's another nice gank coming out. And this is the kind of jungling I like to see. They're making things happen. It's a kill going over, and in fact it is going to be Dandy Chap himself that picks that one up. Haddo been found out in the jungle here, but his vision is going to be denied almost immediately.
And that's the, you know, when right at the start of the night where I was talking about the jungle pathing that Rek'Sais can take, that's the very classic Rek'Sai top lane gank where you can get past the turret from the backside of the blue side of the map and then go for the gank. And actually they burnt the flash on Rifty. He doesn't have teleport, and he's going to lose a huge minion wave there. That's not good for the gangplank, and good awareness by Dandy Chap there, and a really, really good gank to make up from his early death in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So turning that one around, so he is now 1-1. And as well, I'd say to some extent that gives a slight advantage over towards Choke, just because the kills on the jungle rather than the support. But I can't say that 300 gold is going to be too consequential. Oh, the culling comes out actually onto Smiley. Can't quite find as much damage there as he would have liked to, though. But that is going to mean that these minions should go down to tower, or at least the cannon. But nice little impale comes out from Smiley, and that will pick up the cannon. So don't know why I'm play-by-playing CSing, but there you go.
I mean, they took a lot of time out of lane there to take the Rift Scuttler. I imagine because Dandy Chap was top and they wanted to try and provide vision around that dragon area. As Furion goes through, doesn't smite the red buff away.
He did smite it.
Yeah, but he doesn't smite it away.
Yeah, so Furion unfortunately going to have to walk away empty-handed from that one. And up in the top lane, very even CS. And in fact, across the board, very even. Just a bit of a lead in the mid lane in favor of Larson, doing
Bit
work
of a lead. It's almost
on this Victor. Yeah.
15-16. He's having a great time.
I'm always afraid to say how big of a lead it is without taking a look first, because there's usually a wave that hasn't quite been cleared up, and then it usually turns into like 4 CS or something, and I'm just
it's
like,
a decent 13 CS lead, though, and
yeah,
I think in part due to the fact that Energy Ice Cold was forced her back very early on here. And Larson just going to continue to apply pressure here. Dandy Chap looking to make the gank happen. Victor without flash is again another one of these really awful mid laners, but I think slightly better position. Yeah,
quote from Scoundrel there: Victor without flash is an awful mid laner.
No, but in the sense that he's a very fairly easy target to apply pressure to. He's slightly better than Lux in the sense that he can just apply gravity field to himself. So should a melee jungler, which is obviously most junglers, try and catch him up in some CC, then he can just stun the enemy jungler as they walk towards him, and he can try and escape scot-free. Going to be Rift Herald here for Choke. So first Rift Herald of the game, going over to Choke here.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pick this one up with relative ease. Dandy Chap actually quite low, and we do see Larson looking to try and contest this. We are going to see Ginge does manage to grab that buff though, and with Whimsy we'll be able to run away at just about the speed of light there. The cannon barrage is going to be enough.
Nice flash.
Nice flash out. Dandy Chap escapes from that gank, and that is just going to be them walking away with a Rift Herald and only having to expend 1 summoner spell for it. So they're going to be pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, and hopefully the Rift Herald will help Ginge in that top lane apply pressure to the Gangplank, because at the moment, Gangplank still, despite the early gank, keeping up in CS, and will slowly start building his way towards that late game build. And actually, look at the CS lead.
Yeah, Larson is not messing about here. Look at this. Forces energy back to base once again and just shoving these waves. 25 CS already ahead at 10 minutes. That is actually insane.
It's a really difficult matchup for Lux, in my opinion, because Larson can walk between his own minions and just use that laser and poke out energy on this Lux. Whereas really, as a Lux, to get a decent amount of poke off, you want to land your binding and then get auto attack, land your Lucent Singularity and auto attack. You can't rely on your Lucent Singularity only for the mainstay of your poke, because it's just unable to do the same damage that Victor's energy laser will. So you just, again, you're kind of in a difficult situation where you are trying to farm from afar, but you just won't be able to match the level of pressure that Victor puts onto you in that mid lane.
Absolutely, and we're going to start to see Ginge hammering away at this tower. That Rift Herald buff is going to help him out there and just doing what he can, doing a whole lot of pressure actually in the top lane, and he may look to dive. Did have wild growth, but decides that that's not going to happen just yet. But here we go, Rifty going to head back to base. This could be an opportunity to take this tower. Teleport will be available though for Rifty, so might be able to head back up to top lane in time, but I'm not sure it's going to happen here. Looks like this will be the tower going on down here. So Ginge, with that Rift Herald buff, will finally be able to kill that objective. Yeah,
so the Rift Herald just dropped as he got the tower there. And actually, it's a really clever idea to put Rift Herald onto the Lulu versus the Gangplank, because she pushes waves so quickly, and Gangplank at this stage is not going to be able to fully clear waves, especially with no critical strike with those barrels. So he's just unable to defend against the turret, as Larson does get locked up in a binding here.
Yeah, misses the laser completely there. It looked a bit like he was confused by the binding or something. Maybe he thought
I thought I was going to be further up towards the lane here.
Yeah, it was a bit like, oh dear, that didn't quite work, never mind. But that is going to be energy just clearing away these minion waves in the mid lane using that final spark. Going to throw out a cheeky little auto, and this is the poke you're on about, when you can get those autos in between the auto attacks. It's essentially like having a sheen built into your kit. If you can weave the autos in between the spells, you're going to do a whole chunk of extra damage. But if you can't get those autos off, Lux's damage does rely on that mechanic. So
yeah, I mean, the very crude part of Lux's poke is just that Lucent Singularity there. You just throw it and proc it and try and deal damage that way. But in reality, the best way to deal the damage is by landing a light binding, auto attack, Lucent Singularity, auto attack, and it's a very effective way of poking your opponent out of lane. Larson now going to back. Laser is down only for a few seconds. He doesn't feel like he's in any particular threat. Bottom lane's been very quiet though, given that we're, it is Smiley.
Yeah.
And how aggressive and how, I guess, much of a presence he's been for Manalite in these games. It's been very quiet. And I think this is in part due to the way WYZIU controls the lane as well. He is so good with this Morgana and making sure that his AD carry remains safe. I think they've found it difficult to get the kind of engages that they wanted in the bot lane. And the only time we've seen that Ignite used was on that first blood onto Dandy Chap. And actually the first blood kill did go to the Alistar.
I'm pretty disappointed we didn't see the final spark used there by Energy, because Larson was able, he missed one CS by basing right there because the wave wasn't pushed that quick, and he was on a cannon wave, so it takes that much longer
and
to
actually
push.
It's resulted
now
in
he gets to just deny this minion wave.
Yeah.
If Energy had just altered the wave, he would have been able to clear it that much quicker, and actually could have denied some CS and maybe shortened that gold gap, which is starting to get pretty terrifying. 40 CS now in favor of Larson. And honestly, I feel like we need to see something out of Dandy Chap here to try and relieve some of this pressure in the mid lane, because they will slowly but surely fall behind. But here comes the teleport out of Ginge. So they're looking for Smiley, but the final spark won't land. A nice knockup comes out from Ginge though, and Smiley just gets wiped out. What was that damage?
That is a Lulu with a Glitter Lance. That is max level. It's a pretty high amount of damage, and actually, they're going on to Ice Cold.
Energy gets locked up against the wall. Chaos Storm will be there. Couple more ticks will finish off the kill. Larson grabs that one, but they're turning it around onto Fury and dodges away from the Dark Binding, but culling should be enough to finish this one off. Ignite from Wiz will be the final tick, and that will be the Dragon by the looks of things coming over to Choke Gaming.
Yeah, and actually, Ice Cold did use his laser to clear the wave this time and didn't have it for that small skirmish. Lulu Ultimate was used to pick up the kill onto Smiley, so he wasn't able to be there to save Ice Cold. But it's a pretty favourable trade for Choke, in all honesty. They pick up a kill in return and the Dragon too. So pretty decent outcome for Choke at this point in time. And they are putting pressure on Manalite, who hadn't had this level of game in the playoffs.
One thing, though, about Choke right now is, if Manalite can punish this, if they're aware of this, there is one summoner spell available for the whole of Choke. Literally, Jokerism has healed. That's all that is up. So if Manalite can somehow, if they're even aware of this, because I mean, it's pretty difficult to track 10 summoner spells simultaneously, but if they're aware of this, they can really punish that and try and find something across the map. But looks like we are going to see Choke heading back into these lanes and denying any kind of pushes that are coming out across the board. But so far, very impressive performance coming out from Choke. And right now, we are going to see gold just about even. Despite those kills, despite that Dragon coming out, the CS lead in the mid lane, and there's a CS lead in the bottom lane, that is just too much gold to deal with.
Yeah, it's starting to open up now. Manalite, again, you can see mechanically and in terms of CS.
Oh my. 16 minutes in, he's already 1.1 thousand gold ahead.
And that's great for the Victor, because when they are looking for their team fights, it's really going to be the Victor that's providing the main form of the AoE damage, apart from the Rifty Barrels. But end of the day, with the way that Larson is playing, he's going to spike much earlier than Rifty. So he'll bridge that gap to allow Gangplank the time to get big. He's got the Triforce now, he's got that first item spike, but again, he's probably not going to be able to lane effectively versus Ginge at this point, who is stacking up high amounts of flat AP and also picked up the cooldown reductions. So he's just going to be looking to clear waves, get big over time. Whereas Larson right now, he's already there. He's already heading towards that stage. And actually, I think Choke are going to have to pay a lot of respect to this Victor right now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. And already has a needlessly large rod. I believe that's level 2 of
I think you're right. I think it is level...
Oh,
in the bot lane, though.
Second upgrade. We are going to see some fighting in the bottom lane. Jokerism getting pretty low, but that is going to be the culling used just to deter anything too crazy coming out there, as Choke managed to secure themselves another Rift Herald. So Choke doing a fantastic job on these early objectives. 2 Rift Heralds and a Dragon coming out from them, and they're also up in towers. So Manalite really not able to control the map all that well just so far in this game. And honestly, I feel like Manalite have somewhat been hyped up coming in here. This is the first time we're actually seeing them in the Premiership outside of the promotions. And so far, they're actually, in terms of map control, starting to fall behind. They do just manage to take that bottom lane tower now, so they will have an ever so slight gold lead. But I really want to see Manalite start to kind of put the key in the ignition and get it hot and fresh out of that kitchen, you know?
I don't think they particularly need to force anything right now, because again, the later this goes, they probably have that better scaling composition. They just have to make sure they maintain vision control, which at the right now, look at the vision control for Choke. It's absolutely huge across the own side jungle. They've got 4 pinks on the map right now. It's a lot of pressure in terms of vision for Choke. And you can see here that it's just not the same level of vision control for Manalight. And Rifty going to have to back away from this bot lane as Daddy Chap, or Dandy Chap, looking to make a play. But Rifty aware of the fact and heads away from this bot lane turret.
Oh. We are going to see Ginge gets his base denied right here. Has to wild growth onto himself, but there's 4 members here from Choke. So I don't think there's really a whole lot that Manalight can do to punish that one. They are going to be able to take away that bottom lane tower, and that is going to mean that they can just get on out of there. And here we go, looking to try deny any vision of that Dragon Pit, as that is going to be spawning in just 1 minute and 50 seconds. Larson finishes off the mid lane tower as well. So now we see 2 towers down in favor of Manalight, and they're looking for a third as well. So Manalight just managing to really take control in terms of towers, but neutral objectives, it's definitely been Choke with the best foot forward here.
Yeah, but neutral objectives, they don't get you anything in terms of global gold. And XD Smiley, I don't know if Ginger's picked the right fight here.
No, I'm not sure he has. And look at that, Rend is going to finish him off. And Smiley with a pretty nice, simple kill there. And that's the second time that someone's been caught out by Haddo's positioning and kind of just found in river face. Cole comes out flash as well. Joker is very ready on the trigger finger to flash away from that one. And actually, Haddo taking a lot more damage than I think he was expecting to. The rest of Choke heading on up to try and preempt that fight, but not anything too much going to come off the back of that one. And 60 CS now for Larson. I just want to keep track of this CS lead because he is just doing crazy things. 20 CS ahead
Furion
with 10
right
CS
now.
a minute right now. Furion has been found. Dark Binding not quite going to connect, but that's the laser onto Haddo. Smiley is going to be going down as well. And that is how you get someone out of your jungle right there. Choke just not having anyone around.
So I think Ginge picked a particularly poor fight in that top lane. He didn't have the wild growth. He'd used it previously to get away from being caught in the enemy red side jungle. And then again, a very aggressive move by Manalight, but they unfortunately didn't respect the power of Lux in choke points, which is where exactly where Choke wanted to be. They forced people into the choke point. I don't feel that's so weird saying that, but they forced Manalight into that choke point of their jungle and got a huge AoE laser from Lux. That was absolutely fantastic, and it gives her a bit of extra gold because she was starting to fall quite heavily behind, or actually is still very heavily behind the Victor. Almost 60, 80, I can't even do maths right now. 70 CS rather. It is a 70 CS lead for Larson in that mid lane. It's absolutely huge. That kill is going to help her claw back some of the gold.
Yeah, it's 1.6 thousand gold lead as well, but there is 3,000 gold in the hands of Energy Ice Cold, right in his pockets there. So he's going to go back to base, finishes off the Morella Nomicon, and is going to be able to get him some nice damage and CDR. And in fact, has enough gold to finish off a Ludens as well. So huge, huge power spike about to come in for Energy. And this could catch someone off guard if they can find a pick here.
Yeah, so he's got the Ludens and Morello, like you said. That's quite a few items that he picked up in just one go there.
Yeah.
And looks like Dragon. No, not Dragon. It's looking just like a random blue side
Yeah, they're just
invade for Manalight, who seem to be doing this quite often. Oh, Smiley gets locked up.
Oh, look at the damage as well coming out from Energy, and Smiley gets knocked up. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. Kiting back with his Martial Poison will be able to escape this one. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage coming out from Rifty as well to slow down the rest of the team, so the follow-up can't arrive. And nice play there by Manalight to get Smiley out, but as well a nice pick that should result in this mid lane tier 1 tower. Just while we have this tower going down, and I don't think we'll see any fights coming up, we do have a community vote that is available on our website, and we have an 86% community vote in favor of Manalight. So Manalight definitely the ones with the fan vote coming into this one, and they also have the gold lead, but Choke definitely seem to be in the driving seat on this game so far.
Oh,
but as I say that, energy gets caught up. Wild Growth is going to keep him alive, but more knockups come on into play. He can't quite get that laser and will be taken down. Larson grabs himself his second kill of the game as they get onto Ginge. The Rend is stacking up, but in fact, I believe it's on cooldown for Smiley, so not going to be able to get that one. Nice culling comes out from Jokerism, but it's not quite going to be able to net him a kill there. And Rifty has departed the fight so that he can come up to this top lane and get that tasty, tasty farm.
Yeah, again, this is the best way to deal with a choke lineup. You just go for that hard engage because, again, choke rely on picking or a little bit of poke to make their composition work. If you just go full-on hard engage, especially onto someone like Ice Cold, it's so difficult for choke to get the damage down that they need to do because, again, I think they are really relying on energy to provide that mainstay of damage for the team, whereas Victor is a little bit more malleable. He can just walk into a team fight and do that kind of damage. You saw there the Chaos Storm was monstrous, just absolutely obliterated Ice Cold before he could get that laser down. So going for a hard engage against choke is something that is far better suited for their team.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we'll see whether they can continue to get those hard engages, because we do see that one kind of working out for them, but they did only get 1 kill, so it's not the end of the world here, but their gold lead is starting to build up now. 3,000 in favor of Manalight. They're going to be very happy with that one, and generally speaking, when you're on the hard engage composition, if you've got the gold lead, you're in a pretty damn good position, because as long as you don't, like, separate as a team, you can generally just dictate the pace of the game, especially now that Baron is an objective that these teams will be looking towards. Obviously, we are 25 minutes into the game, and that is definitely something that Manalight can start to set their sights on.
Very cleverly, it's going to be 2 Lockets of the Iron Solari for either team, which I think is the most sensible option for a first support item choice versus a Lux and a Victor.
I thought, for a second there, I thought you meant like 2 per team. I was like,
oh, no.
That's an interesting one coming out.
Either support has picked one up. And actually, I'm seeing something from Wiz here, which I've seen from a lot of high-level supports, in that you don't actually upgrade your Spell Thief's Edge at all.
Uh-oh. Dandy Chap might just be in a bad spot, although Smiley is going to take a whole lot of damage from that laser, stacking up the end, though. Here comes Jokerism, jumps on in and finishes off the kill. Actually had him try to finish off Jokerism himself, but I don't think he's going to be able to. A beautiful double binding comes out from Energy. That's going to deny any kind of reply from Larson, but that is going to be a gravity field onto Ginge, who will just be melted by the Chaos Storm. Larson picks that kill up, and look at how low the health bars are right now.
Oh,
that's
my
a double kill,
goodness.
triple kill
Larson
coming
go.
out. He's looking for the Quadra as Daddy Chap is just going to have to try and get away in the meantime. Furia gets the solo kill onto Jokerism. It looked so good right there for Choke, but Larson just sweeps the fight up, and now not only does he have ridiculous CS, but he's got 5 kills under his belt.
Oh my word, that's what a Victor can do for your team. And he's got I think the most important item to note here is that Ryalize, because every tick of Chaos Storm, every bit of AoE damage it does, even those tiny little electrical bolts that come off the very edge of it, will slow the enemy team member down, allow him to get within siphoning strike range, speed himself up. And you saw there, Wiz was on the very edge of the Chaos Storm. He got slowed down and picked up the kill with the siphoning strike. Then that movement speed allowed him to move up towards Jokerism and pick him off with the laser. I got to say, really nice item pickup for Larson. It allows him that team fight control, which is something I think that Choke need. Manalight need. And honestly, he is out of this world crazy right now. He's almost got 100 CS lead as well.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And I think one key thing as well, I was incorrect earlier. That is the 3rd tier of the Hex Core. That's the fully upgraded version. So you can see now that this is kind of really underestimated. Chaos Storm gets extra movement speed when you have that 3rd tier of the Hex Core. It's something that's kind of ignored most of the time, but when you go for a Rylai's second item, the fact that moves quicker and slows people means that is a permanent slow, essentially,
and look
on whatever target
they just want to keep going for it. They want to keep going for it.
Yeah, they do indeed. Fury are going to get caught up by a binding. Haddo jumping forwards, but a nice dash by Jokerism will get him to safety. Culling comes on out, but won't be able to finish anyone off just yet. So Manalight, again, trying to force the issue here, and they're looking towards this Dragon. 2 Dragons so far for Choke. They're going to be looking to turn that one into a 3rd if they can. But 2 ultimates on cooldown here for Choke, so I'm not sure if this is the greatest team fight for them, but at the same time, Furion's explosive charge is going to be on cooldown
They've
as well.
still got Cannon Barrage and they've still got Chaos Storm.
Yeah, they do indeed. So definitely some big cooldowns available for Manalites. And it looks like they are going to eventually get control of this area. But look at this rotation. They're looking towards this bottom lane tier 2. And they've been able to deny the rotation coming out from Choke. They have to go all the way around. Smiley's already getting the damage down onto this tower. Really nice rotational play. That secures an objective.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Gangplank. You just allow him to place those barrels down. You have to maneuver around them or face the wrath of about 1,000 damage coming straight down onto
The wrath of 1,000 damage.
Yeah, I know, wonderful. And again, really nice, like you said, beautiful zone control and rotation from Manalite. That's kind of the way their team composition works. They've got both the Victor and the Gangplank. They have a lot of good zone control in that kind of play there. And around this jungle, as long as they're not getting caught by the Lux Light Binding, they're in a good position to win these rotations and force the awkward movement patterns from Choke, like you saw there. Force Choke to go all the way around, which is obviously kind of the awkward way for them to go.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, well, Manalite pretty much just swing this game towards themselves. 7,000 gold now in the lead. They managed to grab that first dragon for themselves as well. So they're going to have that 6% AD and AP for themselves, which is just going to be a nice little boon on top of everything else. But
QSS and Mercurial already there for Smiley, so should he get locked up, that's now 4 members of Manalite that can potentially get out of a binding, which is kind of the way Choke wanted to win this game. You make a pick.
I just want to see a Gragas QSS now, just for the full house, I suppose. But looks like Manalite setting their eyes towards Baron now. They can completely take vision control of this area. And the blue trinkets are all on cooldown right now for Choke Gaming. So there is literally no vision of this Baron pit right now. And Manalite, they're easily going to be able to play with this one. And with the hard engage that they have available to them, if they decide to group up, once Larsson's grabbed that blue before himself, they should be able to, if not force the objective, then force a fight around that objective.
Yeah, and look at the items coming out from Rifty now. He's almost hitting a 3-item spike. He's gone for the Essence Reaver. He'll have cooldown reduction combined with the Trinity Force there. So this is pretty huge.
Oh look
wow.
at this. They knock energy in towards this bush right here, and it's going to be Smiley doing what damage he can. Does get caught by the laser, but it's not enough. And look at the health bars melting away to the Chaos Storm. Dandy Chap goes through his last and gets himself another double, another triple kill, and now he's looking for the Quadra. Jokerism manages to dash away from the slow from the Rylai's, but that is going to be a top lane tier 2 tower going down. Jokerism is not going to be able to defend this. This might even be an inhibitor right now. Hado doesn't have his ultimate available, but there's a few minions. There's enough minions because look how fast that's going down. Jokerism is not in a good spot, and in fact, Smiley flashes forward to finish this one. But
close!
Oh, so close. Jokerism nearly making the play to get that 1v1, but it is going to be a top lane inhibitor by the looks of things, and we do just see Ginge. Poor little Ginge here. He's just going to be clearing away minions. There's nothing he can do across the map to stop this onslaught from Manalite, who have now got an 11,000 gold lead. They've got themselves a top lane inhibitor, and I mean, I've said it, this is the 3rd time I'm saying it now, but they can set their sights on Baron.
Yeah, and this is a really brilliant piece of play from Manalite. They are just stopping Choke from playing the game they want to by not allowing those picks to happen, because they're just going hard. They're going in and they're basically throwing Hado, making flanks, going for the hard engage, and it's always been onto Energy Ice Cold as well. Every time we've seen a full team fight from Manalite, they've always somehow managed to lock up an Energy Ice Cold, which once he's down, where are you really expecting the rest of the damage to come from other than Jokerism? Yeah. You've got just those 2 solid threats. I mean, Ginger's an okay threat, but again, he's a Lulu, never going to be carrying games solo in terms of his damage. So once you lock up Energy Ice Cold, there isn't really anyone else that you have to be worried about. And this has been Manalite's tactic when they've been looking to employ these team fights. And again, you just got to speak volumes for how useful that Rylai's has become for Larsson. I kind of would have liked to have seen this from Exertus when they had that Victor earlier on. I think it works in the kite as well, because you can kite back with the Rylai's. But this has worked out so well for Manalite. 8-0-0.
I was about to say, he's on.
He hasn't even assisted. He's just killed everything.
He's finished off his death cap as well, which just, when you've already got a needless item, you've already maxed your hex core, and you've got an abyssal, his AP is getting through the roof. In fact, I'm going to check his AP. It is 816 AP.
Yeah, goodbye to the entire Choke lineup with 1 energy rate.
Yeah, that is going to be Choke Wiz knocked up though. Black Shield was on cooldown there. Hado gets caught by a binding, but nothing too crazy. Going to come out. They decide to not commit to anything on this one. But
Yeah,
I really want to see Manalite force the issue here. Go for that Baron. I mean, why not? You're so far ahead. At the end of the day, look at that. The death ray, just half HP on energy. I think that was just the single proc as well. I don't even think that got the second proc on it, but that is going to be enough of an advantage, apparently. All they need to do is chunk someone, and that is going to be them starting off this Baron. And Hado does get caught out. That actually uses his ultimate as well, so that is going to mean that they decide to back away from this one. Rifty pushing these minions up into this tower. Ginge having to reply to that one. Yeah, I mean, they can do, because look at the top lane. There's a massive, massive minion wave of supers pushing in this top lane. So all this time, oh, Hado gets pulled away by Smiley there. The fight actually might be starting here. Larsen's nowhere near, and we see Rifty down in this bottom lane. Has to use that cannon barrage, but it is going to be enough to disengage this fight. Now Wiz is kind of all alone here. Hado going to be able to get that knock-up, but there's no real follow-up there. Larsen finally arrives. Look at that damage coming on out. Wiz, slowly but surely, I say slowly but surely, he just gets wiped out. Furion should be traded, though. Ultimates on ultimates will be able to finish off that jungler. Rifty, though, pushing towards this inhibitor. He's got 2 men, and he's heading into more. Flashes over the wall. Dandy Chap going to be looking for this knock-up, though. We'll be able to get the movement speed with that barrel. Wild Growth comes up to keep on slowing down this top laner, but he's going to be able to escape. Larsen just one-shots Ginge, and now Dandy Chap, he's bitten off more than he can chew. There's a double kill for Larsen. 11-0. He's up to 4 figures right now with almost 400 CS as well. This is going to be the bottom lane inhibitor. I mean, they can look to end the game right now, because there's 35 seconds on both the top and jungle. There's already a Nexus tower gone down to the supers. There's already a Nexus gone down at this rate. They're looking for more kills before they end this one out. Wiz just going to be able to get onto the Nexus, but that is going to be the game. And after a very slow start from Manalite, they just pretty much put their foot down on the accelerator, take control of the game, and push it through to a victory.
Yeah, and again, it was all from that mid lane presence from Larsen